Hello, I just wanted to show you what this will look like when you are done. So here is my, oops, here is my photo before all of my changes and my photo after. Just bring that to full size so you can sort of see it a little better. I'll do it again. So there's my photo before all the changes. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm pressing my Alt key down. I have a Mac though. It might be an Option key on a PC. So it's either Alt or Option, and there are my changes. I think it went really well.
Hi, this is Sherry Sloan, also known as the Lady Geek, and today we're going to use Photopea to try out this formula that I learned about that I think is really effective for brand new Photopea users or Photoshop users. So if you, I'm just going to be using this this formula here. If you want to follow along and print one out, if I remember to, I'm going to put one into the description of this video. If I do forget to, then just go ahead and take a screenshot now, but we're going to be going right through this. And let me just explain it a little bit. Well, you know, it just seems to be that humans really care about light and contrast and color. So that's what we're going to focus on. We are going to add color, contrast, and light to our subject of our photo, and we're going to delete or lessen those things from the non-subject portions of our photo. So we start with a file correction mode, and that just means that we want to start with a photo that's, you know, level, has the right colors, and we've leveled out some of the lightness and darkness. And then we're going to enhance the light and darken the areas that are not our subject. Then we're going to add some contrast and then some color. So I just go right through this in sequential order. And before I do this, just know that I am also a Photoshop novice. And of course, Photopea is just about the same thing. In fact, when I look for videos and such on YouTube and tutorials, I actually search for Photoshop. And even if it's not exactly the same, it's usually pretty similar where I can figure out what it does. Okay, so hopefully you've taken a screenshot of this by now, and we're going to go ahead and edit a photo. So I am going to bring over my photo of my chickens. Oh, I don't know if you saw that, by the way. Hold on. Today is April Fool's Day. It's April 1st, and so Photopea is being funny, and they are photo pickle today. So I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, this is Photopea, even though it says photo pickle, it's Photopea. It's April Fool's Day. So I'm again going to bring in my chickens. Okay, so this isn't the best quality of photo, although it's a nice big photo. My cell phone is very old, so I don't get as good of quality as others do, but it's still pretty decent, and we're going to make it even better. I'm trying to see what I would say is the focus of my photo, and I'm going to say, I just want to zoom out a little. The Z key is zoom, and then to zoom out, hold down the Alt key and click, and you can zoom out. So I'm going to say that the subject of my image here is going to be this rooster. I don't want to forget these guys over here, though. I kind of still want them in, but this guy is going to be my focal point. So that is my subject. All right, so my first step is my file correction mode, and I need to crop and level my horizon. So this photo does not really have a horizon, and I don't really see, anything that is level that I could use as my level, and I think it's a pretty level photo. So I'm not going to level this one out. But if it was not level, I'm going to show you how to level a photo. So we'll just pretend I want to make this level, and we're going to grab the ruler at the top. You could always hit your Move tool, which is letter V, and if you do not have a tool up here, just go to View and rulers and go ahead and grab a ruler. It doesn't really matter what the increments are because we're just using it as a guide. This is what is level. And then if you find an area that should be level, that you want to make sure is level, you just put the guide on that area. When you're ready for the guide to disappear, you go to View and Clear Guides. We're going to use it for a moment though. Now that I have my guide done, I'm going to transform my image because I'm going to level it out. So I need to go to Edit, Free Transform, and this is where I would level out my photo if it was unlevel. I don't really think mine is, but I'm just going to do it just in case. So you'll see I've moved mine a bit. Some of you might have a little more that you might have to move, but I'm going to say that mine is just about level, so we'll pretend that is mine. Okay, so next I'm going to crop my image. I'm going to get rid of that. Actually, I'm going to keep it just for a minute. I'm going to go ahead to my crop mode, my crop tool. And just like most crop tools, I want to make sure I keep that flower in at the top. I really like that flower. I really love this sunshine here. I do not like this blue tarp. I really don't want any attention going to that, but I like the pitchfork. I might have to make some decisions about that. Ooh, that was nice. Although I didn't want that to happen. And then, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my confirm. Let me zoom in a bit. It's my Z key to zoom in. You could also do Control plus. Yep, I think that's what I'm going to stick with. Okay, so I did my crop and level horizon. Next is color correction. We're going to go to the image menu and go to adjustments. So image, adjustments, and hue and saturation. And here we're just seeing if our levels are correct. Do we want more color in here? And don't worry, we are going to add more color later. If you want to go all the way to the right and see what it looks like, all the way to the left should be black and white. So you can sort of, and you can always reset by coming over here to reset. I don't have a problem with moving a little bit to the right. Again, my camera's pretty old, so I feel like that helps. And then my hue, I don't think I really need to change my hue, but I will show you what it looks like. All the way to the right is garish, all the way to the left, pretty awful. Another interesting thing about hue and saturation really is notice at the top, let me reset this. At the top where it says master, I can enhance just the red. So I can go to here and click on red, and now I am super saturating, here let me go crazy, the color red. So anything that has a little bit of red, I'm making more red. Look at that bungee cord. So let me reset that. Let's see what happens with my hue. I'm affecting my reds, so it's affecting just the reds. It's selecting out the things that are in the red category. That's why this is not being affected at all right now, because it's only selecting the things that are red and altering their hue. And that goes the same thing for just about everything on here. So maybe I will enhance my red a bit and saturate my reds, because I really want that rooster to stand out. But overall, you can just alter the master and edit that as you please. I might saturate the master as well. And there we go. I'm going to press OK. I like it. I never made a copy of my background layer. I probably should have done that. Oh well. I would have liked to have done that to have shown you the before picture and then the after picture. Oh well. So anyway, next we are on, we're going to add a little bit of contrast, and obviously this is what, a 13-step process. So don't worry, we're gonna be editing more, but this is just to edit the overall image, and then we're going to pick apart various areas and edit those. So let's go ahead and go to our curves and adjustment layer. So we're going to go again to image, adjustment, curves. And here Just for this beginning one, we're just going to click on Auto and see what happens. So I'm going to click on Auto, and there it goes. Now, just to show you what that looks like, if I click off this preview button, that's what it was before, after. It's very subtle, but it has darkened some areas that need it to be dark, and I don't really see it lightening much, but I do see it darkening. So there's before and after. So we're going to keep that, press OK. And again, this is just to set our base for the rest of our edits. And then finally, dust removal. I don't have any dust removal on my camera, but we're going to pretend that I do. So let's pretend that this spot right here shouldn't be there, so I'm going to remove it. That's a tough one, actually. That's okay. Actually, I'll get rid of this spot up here. So to remove dust, or if you had some maybe ocean spray or whatever, you're going to add a new layer. And when you add the new layer, we're going to click on this spot healing brush. And if I just try and notice right now my dot is quite small, you can make it bigger and smaller the long way by going up here and messing with size, or you can use your bracket keys right above your enter key and make it bigger and smaller. So I'm going to want my dot to be just a little bit bigger than my source dot. And basically what you're doing is you're telling the program to eliminate what is inside this circle and replace it with pixels that are just like the pixels around it. So let's see what happens. I'm going to click, and you're going to see that nothing's going to happen. Watch. Okay, I clicked it. I know I clicked it because it's here in my history, but nothing changed. And the reason nothing has changed is because notice that it says my source is my current layer. My current layer is a transparent layer. I need it to see the layer below it. So I'm going to undo. I don't really have to undo. I'm going to undo, which is Control or Command Z. And now I'm going to change my source from current layer to current and below. Now it's going to see the layer below it. All right, now here's my dot. So there's before. I'm going to press my mouse, and it takes just a moment, and there it goes. I'll do this dot here also. Press my mouse. There it goes. So that is how you would remove dots from your image. That's also how you work with mild acne and mild imperfections. Same thing. All right, so we have done our dust removal. We have done everything in the file correction mode. So now we are on to the light mode. We are going to add light to our subject, which I decided is going to be my white and red rooster there. And we're going to darken the non-subject areas, especially the subject areas I really don't care about, like this bucket, but I still want the bucket in there. Okay, so we're going to add a curves and adjustment layer. So that's down here at the bottom, the thing that looks like half a cookie. We're going to be adding several curves layers. In fact, I'm probably going to start labeling them. In fact, I will. Let me label this one. Oops. Dust. And then this one I'm going to label light. Okay, so on this layer here, what we're doing is we are looking at this rooster and we're going to lighten him. But when we move our handles here, we are only looking at the rooster. We don't care about anything else because we're only going to lighten him up. And you'll see how we're going to do that. So again, we're looking at the rooster. In fact, I'm even going to zoom in on him. And I want to lighten him up. I'm only looking at the rooster. I don't want to wash him out. By the way, animals are very difficult to photograph. So just bear with me with the rooster. Ooh, that looks actually quite nice. All right, so I'm going to show you why I was only looking at the rooster. So now what I'm going to do is, let me zoom back out. That's holding down my Alt key. And now I just want to show you what this looks like before and after. So here is before and here is after. Nice and bright, but again, I really only care about my chicken there, my rooster. Well, I think that's a little too bright. So, okay, let me go back to my curves. Let me darken that a little more. Oops. See, I don't want him to get washed out. Okay, before and after. Okay. All right, so now again, before and after, it's not a big change, just a little bit, but we're just going to lighten up that rooster a bit. So the way that we're going to do this is I want you to think of this white as being that layer, as being that layer of light. And if I were to, notice how it's white, if I were to draw on it with black, oops, I need to use my little arrows to switch the black to the top. Now I'm going to be drawing in black. If I were to grab my brush tool, I just want to grab a hard brush just so you can see it better. Oh, it is hard. Okay, so I'm going to make my brush nice and big. I just want to show you what it does. So I need to click on the layer. If I start coloring on this, you'll notice how, see how it's lightening up? Look at that light thing that went through the tree there. And if you hold down your Alt key and click on this, you'll see what your drawing looked like, what it looked like. So I'm just going to undo that, Control or Command Z. And so I don't want to take away the light, I want to add light, but I don't want to add light to the tree and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert this. So with that clicked, I'm going to click on Control or Command I, and it's going to turn black. Now what I'm going to do is I want to change the softness of my brush, and my size is pretty good, maybe a little bigger. I'm going to change the flow to 5%. What that does is think of it as a marker that's almost out of ink. When you lessen the flow, it's a marker that's almost out of ink. So I want to just brush on a little bit of light, and that's what we're doing here. So what we've done, you'll notice that when I press the eyeball, there's no change. That's because I've now taken the layer completely away. I've taken that light that put in there completely away. When we change our brush to white on top of black, we're going to put the light back in. So watch what happens with my rooster here. I'm going to make it, well, this is like an overall making light. So I'm going to go over my rooster a little bit. And it's not dramatic that I've done so far. It's just a little bit that I'm lightening him up. And if there's anything else that I feel the need to lighten up, like I might lighten up this post a bit. But I'm really, looking at lighting up my rooster. I'm going to be adding sunshine and stuff in a few minutes, but really, I just have a very small subject here. Maybe your subject is a little bit bigger than mine, but go ahead and light up your subject. Lighten up your subject. I'll show you mine again. So basically your brush, if it's just 1 or 2 strokes, it's very, very faint, you adding in that light. If it's several strokes, you've added in quite a bit of light. So to see the difference, I'm going to click on the eyeball. So this is before, after, before, after. Again, my guy isn't that big to do this with, but there is a moderate change in him. So let's add darkness to the areas that we don't want colored. So that is step 2 of the light area. We're going to add darkness. So again, we're going to add a curves adjustment layer. This time though, we are going to darken the areas. We're going to darken our image. I need to move mine over. The H key and oh, okay, I was trying to get him out of the way. Oh, there we go. I want to concentrate on this side of the image. How dark do I want to make this? So I'm going to bring my darkness down. And again, I want this to be an unimportant part of my image. Okay. All right, Control 0 will bring your image to full size. And again, if I were to click my eyeball off and on, you'll see that that's what it looked like, and this is what it looks like now. So you're like, boy, that's it's pretty dark. Yep, it is pretty dark, but we're not going to darken our rooster. So again, we're going to paint on the darkness. To do that, we need to change this to black. So with that clicked, Control or Command I to invert it. And then again, we have our brush tool. And I like to have my flow at 5%, my hardness at 0, and we're going to be painting on with white, so white needs to be on top. And now we're going to paint on the darkness. And you'll see it's going to happen pretty subtly because my flow is only at 5%. So I'm just painting on, not shadows, but really think of it, I might even make my brush much bigger. But just think of it as painting on darkness in areas that are unimportant. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I have added darkness to my photo, and just to sort of see before, after, before, after. You'll see there's more contrast to the chicken house up there. It's not as washed out. But let's look at the changes that I made. Hold your Alt key down, and you'll see I did quite a bit of darkness. So let's say I feel like I kind of overdid it. Oops. Let's say I feel like I kind of overdid it. Like I really didn't want this flower to be quite so dark. Maybe I didn't want my sunshine down here to be quite so dark. But I don't want to start over again. So what I can do is I'm going to switch my brush back to black. I cheated and made my flow at 23%, so it was a little too much. I'm going to say 10% maybe. You can go ahead and mess with your flow. Again, it's all about the marker having no ink. And so now with the black selected, I'm actually putting back the light. So remember, your white layer is the addition of that layer. So the white means addition of darkness. So if I take away the light around the edges, I am adding back in the light. I'm deleting the darkness. I am erasing the darkness. So the white is the darkness in this case. So I'm going to actually label it. So now that I have my black, I'm going to paint back in some of that light that I took out accidentally. Remember that in this case, the white is darkness. That'll make more sense when we get to color. But I'm going to paint back in, oops, I did click on my layer. I'm going to paint back in my light. And you'll see that up here, you'll see it slowly disappearing, the white, and it's becoming black. So I'm putting back in some sunshine. And again, I want to put a little more sunshine up in here on my flower. I just took away a little too much light there, I think. Really want my flower to show up. I really want my chicken over here to show up pretty well. So there I've put back in some light. So let's just see what this looks like. Here it was before. So pretty bright around the edges. And now I feel like more of the attention is on the rooster, on the green part. really want attention on this part here. I'm still going to erase just a little bit more to add a little more light in, especially near my rooster, of course. And this green here. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, and so that is our darkness layer. So now we're on number 3 under light, which is we're going to actually lighten the subject by brushing sunshine onto our subject. We're going to do that on a few other areas here as well. So look at where the sunshine hits, and we're going to enhance that. So again, we're going to add another curves layer. And this time when we move our dot, you'll see that we are going to, we need to look at where the sunlight hits, and we're going to make our image brighter and not worry about anywhere else. So I'm just looking at where the sunlight hits. And I kind of like that. Remember, we haven't edited color yet. Color is last. And the reason we edit color last is because when you edit contrast and when you edit light, it edits the color. So then you'd be editing the color again. So we do color last. So we're going to paint on the sunlight, so just to see the difference here. All right, so look at this where the sunlight hits. And everywhere the sunlight hits, we're going to enhance it with just a little more sunlight. So right now the sunlight is hitting the whole image, but we only wanted to hit the sunlight images and of course our rooster. So we're going to, again, invert that layer. Control or Command I to invert it. And now, of course, when we click our eyeball off and on, there is no change. We're going to paint on the black our white. Right now we are painting on sunshine. And now we're going to, this brush is way too big because now we're going to get more intricate. Now we're honing in on our enhancements. So we're going to make our brush nice and small and probably our image bigger so that we can see a little better what we're doing. And my brush again, and now I want to make sure that I'm brushing white, and I am. I'm going to make my brush size much smaller. I might even zoom in more. And we're going to brush on the sunshine. Right now my flow is at 10%, that's good. Everything else looks good, and my brush is still too big. So I'm just going to copy where they have, where the sunlight already is. And I'm just going to enhance those areas where the sunlight already is on my chicken. So I'm just giving him a tan. So same thing with my fencing here. I'm going to brush on the sunlight all along where I think the sun would be hitting. And that is going to enhance these areas and make them really pop. And again, if I feel like I didn't, and you can go over and over the same spot a couple times. That is, again, remember your marker running out of ink. By going over the same spot multiple times, you are just adding in layers of sunshine. And just to see that we're not crazy, if I do the eyeball back and forth, you'll see that I am, in fact, adding sunshine to my chicken and to my fencing here. So I'm going to keep on adding some sunshine here. I'm just going to where they already have, well, where the sun is already hitting, and I'm enhancing the area the sun is already hitting. And again, I'm going to kind of forget about the rest of my image because I really, remember I put the darkness around the edges because I didn't much care about the edges. Controller Command 0, you can see the whole image. I can put this away. So I don't really care about enhancing much light over here. I really want to focus all of my efforts over here as I paint on this sunshine. And even though it's not very realistic, I'm still going to put sunshine on my flower. But generally you'd want to take this photo at a different time of day so that the sunlight on the flower is a little more natural. That's okay. That's what Photoshop, in this case, Photopea is for. Okay, enhance this a little bit. Again, I did make those edges dark for a reason. Let's see the difference. Ooh. Look at the fencing here. That looks so nice. I think I'll add a little bit of sunshine to this other rooster. Because I don't want to just forget him. He's just not the star of the show. So again, if I had made a mistake and I lightened him too much, if I zoom in, let's just see how he looks. So if I feel like I lightened him too much, which I'm going to not feel like that, because I kind of like how he's turning out. But if I did feel like I lightened him too much, I could come back over here, change my brush to black, and now I'm brushing back on, well, I'm deleting some of that sunshine. So again, maybe I don't want the side of this garbage can with some sunshine. So I'm going to, by using the black, I am taking away some sunshine from areas. So again, the white is putting the sunshine, putting that layer in. Yeah, the sunshine here. Sunshine. That is putting that thing in. Zero. So you can see a whole image here. And I can go back later and add more sunshine as well. Oops. I have to make sure you're on the layer. Yep. White. A little more sunshine over here. So again, I can always go back through and add more sunshine. I'm really going to love this sunshine. Yeah, I think I'm going to enhance all these sunshiny areas. It's just going to add more interest to the photo. Again, my flow is at 10%, and 5% I don't have the patience for. Alright, let's see the difference here. Okay, look at all that sunlight we added. Wow, nice. Let me add a little bit of sunlight to the side of this bucket. I think it makes it kind of cool. This is the watering bucket here for the chickens. It's a little bit of interest there. And a little bit of interest in this chicken back here. Don't want to forget about her. Even though she's in rough shape. Nice. Okay, so as suspected, we are going to darken up some of those dark areas. We're going to add shadow. So our light section, step 4, we're going to add another curves layer, and we're going to add shadows. So we're going to darken our photo until it looks how we think it should look in the shadows. Okay, let's look at it. Before, after. So now we are adding in shadows. We're adding in, we're going to paint in these dark areas. So what areas do we want it to be dark? Like, so basically everywhere that creates a shadow is what we're going to paint with this. Except our subject, we're not going to darken him anymore. I think that he looks good, but I'm going to darken his shadow. So let me go ahead and invert this, Control and Command I. And now we're going to make sure that we have our white brush, and we do. Oops, brush tool. But now my opacity is at 100%, my flow is at 10%, so I'm going to go ahead and brush on shadows. So looking to, I guess I should zoom in. Brush tool again, and I'm going to just start painting on some of these shadows. Oops, I have to make sure you have the layer selected. Let's go. So remember, when you go over the same area multiple times, like watch, I'll go over this line a few times. I think that's 2 or 3 already. Let's say I went over it like about 5 or 6 times. Same thing down here at the bottom. And now I'm just going to go over this shadow one time. Watch how it's different. I'm just going to go one time through there. Now I'm going to click on my eyeball. You'll see that the shadows are coming in. But if you click on the layer mask and hold your Alt key down, you'll see that, see my flow? It's barely brushing in shadows. But here I brushed in a lot of shadows, here I brushed in a medium amount of shadows. So it's all about how many times you go over the same area as to how dark it will be. So again, I'm going to go over this area even more. So we are accentuating the shadows and we are accentuating the sunshine. A little pro tip, if you press your X key, so right now I am painting with white on top of black, which means I'm painting in shadows. So let's say I just cut off that chicken's leg, which I did, and I want to have the light back in there. My X key will switch it back to painting with white. So if you look, I'm sorry, painting with black, which means I am putting the light back in. So if I press my X key again, now I have my brush back to where I want it to be, and I can again paint back in my shadows. So if I went over this chicken's chest area too much, then I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I can press my X key. Now I'm taking away the shadows that I just painted on her, and I can go back to my X key and continue painting on shadows. So that's what I'm going to keep on doing, and go through here and just keep painting on shadows. This is going to add contrast and interest to our subject, which is our chicken. So here's a little pro tip. I've decided I want some more sunshine in here. So even though it's unnatural, I'm going to paint on more sunshine. So all I have to do is go down a layer, make sure I'm painting with white, and I can go ahead and throw in some more sunshine while on that layer. I just wanted to be able to see this fencing a little better. So it's not, but I'm only going over it like once, just so a little more detail can be seen in these cool things. I'm not like, I realize that the sun is on the other side of the fence. Just going to add some pretty interest to it. Alright, like I said, I kind of like it. I mean, I probably would do a little more, but we are on now to the contrast layer. So curves adjustment layer, and we're going to do another curves and adjustment layer, curves adjustment layer. And this time we're going to put a dot in the middle, and we're going to bring this dot in about 25% of that square. We're going to bring this dot in about 25% of that square. Before, after, maybe a change. Okay, so I've kind of found a nice area for my contrast. It really does not look like a ton of difference, but watch what happens when I turn off my sunshine. So if I were to have my sunshine off and my contrast off, it really mutes out my image. So I have them both on, and so I'm going to brush over my areas of interest with my contrast. To do that, I need to take away the contrast from the whole image, Control or Command I, and now I'm going to brush on my contrast. So right now there should be no difference. So zoom, zoom, no difference. So I'm going to go ahead and brush on my contrast. Right now I have a 6% flow. I'm just going to bring this a little bit higher. Just again, think of it as your magic marker running out of ink. If it's at 100%, you have all your ink. So I'm basically doing it so that I can edit in small increments. So I'm just going to brush over my roosters, well, my rooster and his hen behind him. I think I'll brush over this rooster one time. And as far as more contrast, I love these shadows. I'm going to brush over these shadows. I really think the shadows are kind of the star of the photo. So let's just use our eyeball. Off, on, off, on. A little more. Again, it's not adding, well, it is kind of adding light and dark. It's just adding contrast. It's just adding a little more interest to these items that I find interesting. Like, to see the changes that I made, I'm going to go ahead and click Alt, and I can see where I have made my changes, where I want the level of interest to be. Of course, here is my rooster and the other rooster, a chicken behind him, a hen behind him. So I've added some interest there. And that's kind of where I'm going to end with my contrast. Maybe a little bit on this. Right, so it's again turn off and on, off, on, off, on. Sweet. Now let's do color. Okay, so now we're going to do a adjustment layer, and now we're going to have hue and saturation. We're going to remove color from our non-subjects. So we're going to bring our saturation down. This is very subtle. So if I bring it all the way down, so you can see, it is a black and white. Obviously, we don't like that. Let me reset it. And we're going to bring the contrast down, saturation down, so it's a little bit washed out. And what we're going to do is we're going to take away color from areas that we don't want saturation. We should probably label this. This one here was contrast, and here we're removing color. Alright, so again, let's just take a look at this, looking it out. So here it is with color. Here we have taken away some colors. So with, taken away, with, taken away. Maybe, no, that's enough. Yep. So I'm just going to, again, invert this, Control or Command I, and now I have my black brush, I'm sorry, my white brush. Incidentally, if yours are not white and black, probably too late to tell you, but this little white and black squares here will change into the default. But you need to paint on with white. And what we are painting on now is we are removing color from non-areas of interest. So basically we're washing out the areas that we really don't care about for our image. I really don't want to focus on the sky here. I know I keep avoiding it, but I am going to wash out some of that color because, again, I really don't want that to be the focal point. I want the rooster to be the focal point. So I'm just going to take away the color from the areas of the image that I do not want interest. So even though I have this blue over here, I really don't want, I never wanted that blue there, I just wanted the pitchfork. So I'm going to take away color from this area that is super washed out. I think it's a little too light up here. I'm going to add some more darkness. So I'm going to go to my shadows layer. Make sure I have white selected, and I do, and I'm going to paint in some darkness here, paint in some shadows. It's just a little too light in there. It's kind of washed out. So that's what I love about Photoshop is you can go back in and make like other changes to the photo just by going to those other layers. That looks nice. So I have removed the colors from the areas that I don't find interesting. So here it is gone, here it is present. So if you look at my before, you can look at my sky and it's quite blue. Afterward I've taken away some blue. But again, I didn't make it like a crazy adjustment, but I can go back down and still remove more color. And it's only removing it from those areas that I've already selected. So perhaps my sky was still a little too blue. Again, I could remove the color all at once and notice how it's becoming less and less blue. In fact, it's now basically black and white. I don't want to be black and white there. And a little bit of blue in there. But again, I am editing everything that's on here in white is what I just removed color from. So again, to see that, zero, move this away. There it is with the color, and here I have taken the color away. Alright, next step is to add color to the subject. So we are going to move in on him and add some more color to him. So we're going to add a hue adjustment layer. And we're going to bring that saturation up with him. We are saturating him with color. Again, animals are super difficult to photograph usually. His fur and feathers get tricky. I don't want him to look unnatural. Again, I'm only really looking at the rooster because I'm really only going to address him and a few other areas. So again, to see what this looks like, it is, here's the eyeball. Right, we're going to add color to the areas that we find interesting. So, let me see. So we're going to invert this, Control or Command I. And then you're going to make sure our brush is white, and it is. Make sure you have a brush. And you're going to brush on color to the areas that we find interesting. So I'm going to brush on color to this whole area. So let's make our eyeball go away. So there it is without color, and there it is with color. So again, we are adding color in to the areas that we find interesting. And again, generally it's your subject, of course. My subject is rather small, but as I said, I kind of feel like these shadows are my subject as well. I think that the shadows are really quite pretty, as is this rooster here. He needs a little bit of color as well. So again, things that I find of interest, but I'm probably not going to color this other bucket. I'm glad I have it there, but I'm not going to really color it. Add some color in front of it though. So again, I'm just adding in color. I don't want to add any color to the sky. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Alt or Option. That is what I edited so far. This is where I decided to put color into my image. I'm probably going to put some more color down there, but you'll see that my focus is right here and right here. Okay, and now the last thing that I like to do is Now the last thing I like to do is I like to do a hue, a vibrance layer. I'm just a colorful girl, and I tend to like a little more color than what we wind up with. I'm just going to go all the way so you can see what it looks like when it's beyond crazy. So actually looks pretty good to me. But here we go all the way down with vibrance, and it really washes out the colors. So it's making the colors more vibrant is on the plus side and less vibrant on the other side. So it's a little too vibrant. I'm looking at the red of the rooster. It's just a little too much over there. So I'm not going to add much color to the image, but I am going to add some. I actually think this is a little too bright, so I might make that a little bit darker. But let's go ahead and add some color to my image. Control or Command I. And now I'm going to paint on some color. So notice how, I guess you'll see when we're done, but that your eyes will move right to the middle of the image. It won't even really register the edge of the image, because this is where all of the color and contrast and light is at the center of the image. Yes, this is a little washed out. Let me add some more. I already painted on a ton of darkness there. Let me paint on some more shadows. Again, that's the beauty of photo editing, is you can go back and edit all sorts of stuff away. Alright, we have gotten to our last step, and let's just see our before and after. Sometimes we get a little too much. Oh, this, I know that I'm kind of crazy, but this line can go away anytime. It's just you guys. Okay, so let's just see what this looks like. If we click on this eyeball and hold our Alt key down, this is what it looked like before and after. Before, nice work.